What's up, brosos, and those who pick their nose, my name's Bitter, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to Mason and Brooke's wedding. Oh my god!
I read the news so you don't have to, only I don't know how to read. Welcome back to RuneScape News with EVscape. I'm back from my American holiday. For those that don't know, I went over to see two of my best friends tie the knot. Mason and Brooke are the faces behind Crusader Talent, the agency responsible for putting food on the table for so many of your favorite creators. If it wasn't for these two, a lot of RuneScape YouTubers, including myself, wouldn't be making videos anymore. While I was in America, I got to share a house with Toolvest, Bitter, Megan, Rag, Nine Rain, and finally, after so long, I had the opportunity to apologize to SoloMission in person for getting him eliminated in Gilenor games. I didn't apologize to him, but I had the chance. There were so many great moments throughout the week, like Didda losing a dance battle to a 6-year-old.
Just lost a dance battle to a 6-year-old. 3 times over.
That being said, I didn't record much because I just wanted to enjoy the time with my friends after not seeing them for over 4 years. If you want to hear about some of the best moments, SoloMission dropped the Notepad on Twitter. Link will be in the description for that one. Or alternatively, you can wait until the end of the video where I'll be telling the stories behind most of the Notepad entries. Now for RuneScape news. A lot has happened since last time, since I've missed 3 weeks, so let's get into it. The combat achievement system has changed to a point-based system, with easy tasks giving you 1 point and grandmaster tasks giving you 6 points. This has made it possible to complete the master tier of combat achievements without ever completing the Inferno. We're going to see a Fire Max Cape Verzik Helm combo in the game before we know it. The Chambers of Xeric has seen an incredible change with a bank chest being added to the lobby room. This means you no longer need an account to hold a raid for you after you find a scout and can pre-pot directly at the entrance door. A bunch of changes have been made to mobile and Steam clients, adding in a bunch of plugins that are already available on RuneLite, including ground items and loot trackers. Tie Farm is unironically my favorite minigame in old school RuneScape, and players can now enter with 10,000 seeds instead of 100, meaning they can stay for longer without leaving. On top of that, the minigame is now instanced and solo only, so you don't have to worry about some pesky player crashing you when you're in the zone. Hurt boxes were also added to the reward shop and are available to Iron Man, making the game mode easier than ever. Seriously, what's the fucking point of having an Iron Man in 2023? Just make a main. Demonic gorillas now scream when changing their attack style, so you'll never die to them again. I love that Jagex took a huge stance against clients that would do exactly this for you, and then decided to add it into the game regardless. The Hunlef is now louder when changing attack styles. Thank God. Hopefully, that will drown out the voices in my head that constantly remind me of her. Scaly blue dragon hides have been added to the game, so once again, Iron Men don't have to work as hard as they used to. These dragon hides will give you 50 blue dragon scales, making herb lore easier than ever. Bounty Hunter is back. Personally, I will not be participating as I don't enjoy regular PKing, and I'm more of an NH triber myself. However, a huge amount of old school RuneScape creators have been participating. I'll leave a link to SoloMission, Reese, and Didda's videos in the description so you can watch them after this. The general consensus I'm getting is that players, for the most part, are really enjoying the minigame, and I'm super excited to see players getting the new armors in-game very soon. Lastly, due to everyone complaining once again, the XP scaling for a lot of bosses in old school RuneScape have been nerfed, meaning players can no longer get 1.7 million attack XP per hour by claw specking Zabak over and over. This is super annoying because I was literally just about to start training up all my alt accounts. It's probably for the best though, as you could get max combat on an account in less than 30 hours. Back to Nightmare Zone for me. Bracelets of Ethereum now have an Add X function. Permanently banned players will automatically be removed from your ignore list, and thank God a typo has been fixed in the Rune Mysteries quest. In Twitter news, West Ham turned 23, Tasty turned 35, and must finish off the Grandmaster combat achievements on his hardcore Iron Man, becoming only the second hardcore Iron Man in the game to do so. Such an incredible achievement. That's all for RuneScape news since I've been gone. I'm so glad to be back, and the weekly news updates will be dropping from now on. Now on to the part I'm sure a lot of you have been waiting for, the North Carolina Notepad, we call it. And basically, every time something funny happened while we were on holiday together, SoloMission would write it down in the Notepad so we'd have all the memories afterwards. I'm going to go through some of the best ones, and explain the stories behind them. So the first one, Sylvester blocks the toilet 5 minutes after arriving at the Airbnb. Sylvester gets there, we have a couple of drinks, we all go to bed, and me and Bitter are sharing a room upstairs, and we hear some like commotion downstairs, someone moving around. I was like, what the fuck is going on down there? So I get up and I see it's Sylvester, it's Alex. I'm like, Alex, what's going on? And he was like, I just took a shit and blocked the toilet. And I was like, what? Did you flush it? Like, he's like, yeah, I flushed it. It won't go down. And I was like, shit, I don't know, man. Meg wasn't there yet. So I was like, maybe just take Meg's room for the night and then we'll sort it out in the morning. But then he went back into the room with the blocked toilet with his shit in it and slept the whole night. Megan removes all of the ice cubes from her drink and leaves them on the bar. We were at like a barcade thing in North Carolina. And I bought everyone a round of drinks, and then I give Meg her drink, and she just grabs all of the ice out of it with her hands and just puts it on the bar. And all of us are just like looking like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what is happening? And I was like, you can just ask for a drink with no ice, right? And then Bitter says, wait, you can do that? I guess he just didn't realize that you can do that, but that was a funny one. Ditter goes to sleep fully clothed. I looked over at him and he was talking about how I said I sleep almost naked. I just sleep in my underwear. And he was like, fuck that. I couldn't do it. And I look over and this dude is wearing a full-on hoodie in bed. And I was just like, how? I don't know, man. Evescape and Megan buy croissants in a can and beef in a tube. This one was crazy to me. We were like doing a early morning shop after a big night. And we're like in the fridge aisle, I guess, and Meg was just like, Jake, look at this. And I was like, what? And it's a croissant in a can. Like, is that only an American thing? Because like we definitely don't have that here. Obviously they don't have it in the UK. If Meg's saying, what the fuck is this? It was weird. And then ground beef in a tube. Americans will get it. I guess that's how your ground beef comes, in like a tube. But like for Australians, that's what we buy our dog food in. Like dog food comes in a tube like that. And it was just like so weird to cook ground beef out of what I would regularly feed a dog with. Sylvester thinks the largest animal he could beat in a fight to the death is a giraffe. I was just asking the group some questions, getting some conversation going. And I asked, what's the biggest animal you think you could beat in hand-to-hand combat to the death? And Sylvester was adamant that he could beat a giraffe. Like he took us through his whole strategy and everything about how he was going to like dodge and weave and like punch its legs. And anyway, he finally admitted that a giraffe would fuck him up towards the end of the day. But 10 minutes after the conversation had moved on, SoloMission hadn't said anything. Nothing for 10 minutes. And then all of a sudden he just goes, I reckon I could kick the shit out of one of those giant tortoises. He'd spent the last 10 minutes thinking about what the biggest animal he could beat in a fight was. It was fucking crazy. Evescape nonce behavior in an art gallery. This one was a big accident. We were looking at like a painting and like we were just enjoying, we were in an art museum. I'm looking at the painting and I said to Joel, SoloMission, I was like, damn, she's kind of bad. Like the woman in the painting. I was like, she's kind of bad, And then Joel like reads the thing on the side and he said, that's a 12-year-old boy. So like it was an accident. I thought it was an older woman. SoloMission talks about having an Airbnb Alt. Joel told us that he would have an Airbnb Alt for like if he was making bookings at a place he knew was going to get fucked up, he would have a secondary Airbnb account so that his rating on his main Airbnb account doesn't get tanked if they fuck the place up, which is just the most SoloMission thing ever. SoloMission refers to unprotected sex as getting chanced. I don't think I need to go into that one anymore. That one's pretty self-explanatory. Sylvester asks if anyone has ever used Wi-Fi. Yep. He looked us dead in our face and asked us if we'd ever used Wi-Fi. I don't know what to say. Honestly, it was just one of the strangest moments of my entire life. Ditter leads us to a ChickfilA in a cancer ward. Evescape asks if we can come into the hospital for food while wearing a vest, sunglasses, and holding a frisbee. The guy says they close in 20 minutes. It's 1 p.m. So we all wanted to try ChickfilA while we're in America because our respective countries don't have ChickfilA. And Ditter found a ChickfilA near the Duke Gardens where we were going to play Frisbee. We turn up and the Chick-fil-A is actually inside a hospital, obviously for the patients and I guess visitors. And I was like, fuck this. I'm hungry. I want to get some Chick-fil-A. So I walk in and there's like a full security setup. And I walk in holding like a Frisbee and a speaker, and I'm wearing like a tie-dye singlet. And Meg goes up and says, can we come in for like the Chick-fil-A? And the guy's like looking at me and he's just like, it's going to close in 20 minutes. And like, it's going to take you like 15 minutes at least to get through security and do all your checks and stuff. Like, obviously he just didn't want us to come in. But I just wanted some fucking Chick-fil-A, man. We end up playing Frisbee with a 6-year-old for an hour. EVscape asks his name and gets blanked. There was this one little kid. Anyone that's watched me for a long time knows how much I fucking hate children. And we were just trying to play some Frisbee. And this kid came up and we were like, we'll throw the kid a bone, you know? Yeah, throw the Frisbee to him a couple of times. This kid would not leave us the fuck alone. And his mum was just sat there on her phone like, come get your kid, bro. But this kid had been around for ages, and I was like, fuck it, I'm going to ask this little cunt his name. So I get down on my knee, and I go to fist bump the kid, and I'm like, what's your name, little man? And he just runs away from me. And I was just like, damn, he just knows that I fucking hate children, you know? And after we'd played with her son for an hour, Ditter and Sylvester walk across the entire field to ask the child's mum if we can use their football. And she says, no, we're leaving soon. And they stayed for another hour after that. So after we just looked after a child for an hour, she wouldn't even let us kick the football. It was just, what a woman. Sylvester pronounces Uber as Abba. This is a tough one because you never know when Toolvest is trolling. He is like one of the funniest people I've ever met, but sometimes you don't know if he's just like super sheltered, as in us, if you've ever used Wi-Fi, or he's just trying to be funny and trying to pretend to be dumb for a joke. But he said, who's getting the Abba? And I was like, no shot. There's no way. Like, he has to be trolling. Sylvester eats something other than chicken and rice. This guy was the pickiest eater I've ever met in my entire life. At one point, I'm pretty sure someone told me they had to explain to him what a taco was because he didn't know what a taco was. But we were all discussing, you know, how Alex doesn't eat many foods outside of his just classic chicken and rice. You know, he's a big gym guy. And Ditter says that this guy definitely doesn't eat pussy. And it was just, I can't even explain how fucking funny that was at 3 o'clock in the morning when we were all drunk. It was just too good. Rag orders an eclectic impling cocktail. The cocktail was called Electric Love. I don't know how we got it mixed up that bad. Sylvester asks if a margarita is a pizza-flavored cocktail, which is just insane, and I love it, and I'm going to use that as a line from now on. If I'm ever taking a girl out for margaritas, hey, is a margarita a pizza-flavored cocktail? Brilliant. 9rain orders food on Uber Eats on the way to a brunch. We're at Mason's house the day after the wedding for a brunch he put on for all of the guests, where there's a lot of food, and I get there first with Ditter, and I text everyone because they were all asleep, like, hey, we're at Mason's for this brunch, and then all of a sudden, a delivery comes to the door at Mason's for 9rain. He's ordered food to Mason's house at a brunch where there is already food before he's even arrived. So he got there 10 minutes after his food did. Half the squad nearly die in a car crash. This was the most insane thing that's ever happened to me in my entire life. Mason is driving. We're going out for Meg's birthday dinner, and Mason's driving along, and there's like a Tesla up his ass, like so close behind him. And Mason changes lanes so the Tesla can go around. And the Tesla decides that's not enough and just tries to zoom around as he's changing lanes, but doesn't realize there's a car beside him. He crashes into the other car, and that other car comes swerving towards us. Mason, a real life superhero, swerves out the way, brakes. Like, we're just completely fine in this situation where if I was driving, we all probably would have died. Real life superhero, all good. And then he just turns around and goes, so what were you saying, Alex? Without skipping a beat, just goes back to the conversation like nothing had happened. It was the hottest thing I'd ever seen in my entire life, and I wish I married him. We're at the airport on the way home, and Ditter says, I'm down so bad, I want to go through an additional screening. And as we go through the like screening thing, we both come out the other side and we have to get pat down. So that was the third time I'd been pat down on my trip from 6 flights. I just must look like that kind of guy. But yeah, that's some of the best moments from the North Carolina trip. It was absolutely unreal. I miss all of my friends already and can't wait for the next Room Fest so I get to see them all again. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave this video a like, and I'll see you guys next week.